Hi, I'm Maye Edwin, and welcome to my talk. I'm a software engineer at Sky Garden and passionate about open source and building developer communities. Some of the open source projects that I've contributed to are Firebase and TypeScript. I'm also the creator of the open source library PWA, which is basically a bundle of all new web capabilities as one package. You can always Google to learn more about it. Today, I'll be speaking about new web capabilities and you, which is tied to Project Fugu. Fugu is a cross-company effort between Google, Microsoft, Intel, and other browser vendors to identify and build new modern web capabilities into the web. This is driven by one amazing goal, which is to allow web apps to do anything native applications can, famously known as filling the app gap. In this talk, I'll be talking about process for shipping these particular new web capabilities, how to try them, how to give feedback, some of the use cases that are really thrilling to me, and why you should care about the entire new web capabilities project or Project Fugu. The process. The first step is to identify the need. What do the developers need? What is the new feature that is really exciting that is missing on the web platform? The next step is to write an explainer about the need and why this need is very important. The next important stage is to solicit feedback from all the stakeholders, which includes developers and browser vendors. The next step is to come up with a formal specification, which is basically an explanation of how this API will work, how to develop it, and the entire development process. One important piece of this entire process is iteration, as always in all other software development processes, which is basically really important to ensure that whatever is built at the end of the day is really meeting the intended goal. So, after soliciting feedback, a formal specification is developed, the iteration continues until an agreeable and really solid formal specification is developed. The next thing is to build the API and provide it for testing or for triage, which is basically behind the flag in browsers like Chrome. The next natural stage is to basically ship it, this stable API, so that developers can start building new web capabilities or software that is powered by these capabilities on the web. An important thing you should note about this process is that it has been intentionally developed to allow the development of these APIs in the open. And like I said, feedback is the core tenet of this entire process, just to allow that every stakeholder is engaged to ensure that at the end of the day, this API that is being developed, it's something that is actually needed by the entire stakeholders. So the browser vendors and even the developers who at the end of the day build software with these particular APIs. The next topic in this talk is how to try them. So Google has developed some really amazing docs or website that is web.dev/Fugu status. You can always follow up and see all the triage docs, learn more about upcoming APIs, their statuses, and you can always contribute directly from this particular website. Visiting this site will also provide you detailed information about various APIs, the stages, and yeah, that is all. That is the home for all the resources that we need to learn about the new web capabilities projects. Feedback. So how do you give feedback? So I have three important ways that are very solid that you could contribute as a developer or any stakeholder while building these modern capabilities. One of them, just like I mentioned, is web.dev, where you can always find straightforward ways to interact directly with a particular API and provide feedback that you think will really be important for the entire development process of that particular API. Another important plugin is the web working groups, which are specific groups that work on different APIs, and it's they're developed by these companies, that is browser vendors, and you can always interact with the folks in these teams and provide feedbacks directly to them, or even become members of these particular working groups. Another important website that has been developed is fugutrack.webapp that allows you now to have a very direct interaction with the stages and the development processes of these specific APIs from the beginning to the end. And that's how you can always go and contribute by raising issues, or just providing general feedback to them. Use cases. So these are the three amazing APIs that I really find thrilling as a person. And one of them is Web Share Target, that allows web apps to now become receive shared data from other native application web apps. This is really amazing, and I find it really interesting. So the first API that came before this was the Web Share, that allowed web apps to share data to other apps, or to other apps, basically native applications. But now Web Share Target allows the web apps now to become targets for sharing this particular data. I find it really interesting, and it's one of the APIs that keeps me moving. I really like it. Another API is the Contact Speaker API, that allows you to natively interact with your contact list of different users' devices from the web. Imagine. So just a preview of the same. So this is a contact list of a particular device or user. So once you integrate this API, you can now be able to select names, email address, and phone numbers from your contact list, and do whatever you want to do with them in your web app. That's really fascinating. The last amazing API that I find really interesting is the NFC API, that allows your web apps to natively read NFC tags. I find it really thrilling. So a use case will be, for example, events industry, where you attending an event and you have a tag, a hand tag, and you need an app to read it. So you can natively now do this via the web app without needing to install any application from App Store or Play Store. So you can directly natively interact with NFC devices using the web. And this is one of the thrilling APIs that I find really interesting, that are shaping the modern web. The last bit is, why should you actually care about new web capabilities project or Project Fugu? One thing to note is that this project, the entire development process of these modern capabilities are tied to the three core tenets of the web. That is, keeping the web instant as we build these powerful APIs, and security as the guidance. Instant. With features like prefetch, preloading, and lazy loading, interacting with these powerful web capabilities should not be a problem. So these are some of the approaches you could use to still keep your performance, the performance of your web apps at par. As much as these APIs are powerful, such as Contact Speaker, they are built around safety, and some of the measures that have been put in place. The most common one, which is really important, is where browsers now natively or by default require all websites or web apps to be served over HTTPS. That is the foundation. And then some of the APIs like for example, push notifications, Contact Speaker, or most of them actually need direct user permissions to actually allow these web apps to use these capabilities on the user's devices. And that is those are some of the measures that have been put in place, and that should keep you moving and keep you encouraged to actually interact and start building with these amazing powerful APIs. With that, I think it's very important to stress that the entire process of building these modern capabilities is tied around feedback, and you can always contribute by engaging with the folks at Microsoft, Google, across the board, and provide feedback, and even directly through some of the open source APIs, through web working groups, and you can be, at the end of the day, part of an amazing journey of building a more capable web, and in the open. With that, I would like to end my talk, and thank you guys.